Hi everyone, it's the end of May, which means it's time for a quick recap of everything I saw on stage in a month. My name is Ethan. Most people say I see too much theater, but I say that I see too much theater. This video is hopefully going to be a little quicker than usual because I also need to make my Tony Awards video, and I don't want to be repeating myself too much between the two. Be sure to subscribe for that. This month I saw 12 things on stage, 5 on Broadway, 4 off-Broadway, 1 ballet, 1 opera, and 1 regional production. Timestamps and shows are in the description, so feel free to skip around to what interests you. I kicked off May by seeing the Tisch new theater production of Pippin. TNT is like the premier student theater club at NYU, and this production was fully directed, produced, designed, acted, etc. by students, which is always really impressive that it happens and gets to run at an actual off-Broadway space. TNT's Pippin was framed by a theater troupe in the classic way, not like the Diane Paulus circus Pippin. It was fun, with some really strong choreography and dancing. If I can rant about one thing, it's that it should be illegal to put 2 rows of chairs on the same level with no rake. We were all sitting directly behind someone's head and couldn't see, so yeah. Next Wednesday, I made my way to the Nederlander Theater to see Schmigadoon. This is the musical by Cinco Paul based on the Apple TV show of the same name that he co-created. Directed by Chris Catelli, Schmigadoon follows 2 New Yorkers, Melissa played by Sarah Chase and Josh played by Alex Brightman, who get trapped in a musical theater town, styled after the Golden Age musicals, and cannot leave without finding true love. I actually had seen both seasons of Schmigadoon before, because it's theater, but also because I am a huge fan of Cecily Strong, who played Melissa in the original. It was never incredible, but it was easy to watch. Schmigadoon the musical is essentially the first season on stage. I know Cinco Paul loves to say that there are like 11 new songs, but half of those are like 2 minutes long, and the best songs are still the ones from the show. So it is basically just put on stage, which means some flaws from the show still persist, like there being way too many supporting characters with forgettable songs that slow down the story. And Harada deserves better. Also, for a show parodying Golden Age musicals, it never really reaches the same level of artistic excellence as those shows. Honestly, a lot of the songs are just melody for melody the same as classic songs with just lyric changes. And the lyrics are good, but with almost all the characters being parodies of themselves, there's not a lot of earnestness or heart to latch onto. Except with Sarah Chase as Melissa, who is pretty fabulous. She really anchored Schmigadoon in a great way. I think it's one of the better new musicals this season, with beautiful set design and costumes, but it definitely doesn't hold a candle to the best of last year. That Saturday, I went to the New York City Ballet for a triple bill. It was called Eclectic NYCB3, if that matters. I think most people there were excited for the last ballet, which was choreographed by a longtime principal dancer there, Tyler Peck, set to Edouard Lalo's Symphonie Espagnole. This is Tyler's second ballet, and she's gotten pretty great reviews for both. I had a good time at this, the dancing was excellent, and the costumes were gorgeous. Tyler definitely went big and old school. Similar feelings of goodwill about the first one, Opus 19/The Dreamer, choreographed by Jerome Robbins. The best one was surprisingly the middle one, Standard Deviation, choreographed by Alyssa Pyers. This was a slam dunk for me. Such electric choreography set to a cinematic score by Jack Ferrer, with like the most incredible saxophone solos played by Chris Hemingway. I never heard of Lissa before, but I'm glad to know for now. The next Tuesday, I went to the Broadhurst Theater to finally see Cats the Jellicle Ball. Cats is an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical based on poems by T.S. Eliot that is just about a bunch of cats. They're called Jellicle cats, they're all gathered at the Jellicle Ball to see the head Jellicle, Old Deuteronomy, make the Jellicle choice so one Jellicle can go to heaven. This version of Cats has been reinterpreted under the direction of Jalen Livingston and Bill Rauch in the context of queer, African-American, Latin ballroom culture. Cats is incredible. And I'm not just talking about the Jellicle Ball. I have actually been the #1 defender of Cats since I saw it in the olden days of 2022 on tour. Cats works because it's 2.5 hours of the most banger songs ever with the most incredible dancing you will ever see, and then at the end someone belts to the rafters and we all go home very happy and appreciative of life. I might not think Cats is a masterpiece, but I maintain that seeing Cats is still one of the most exciting nights I've had at a musical. And now with the Jellicle Ball, it's 2 of the most exciting nights. Cats the Jellicle Ball deserves pretty much all the hype it gets. There is so much to love about this show that it would take an entire video to just rant about it. But right now, I'll just say that Queen Jean's costumes are probably the best I've ever seen on stage. It's truly so thrilling because her costumes feel like a true masterpiece, her magnum opus, yet this is her first season on Broadway, so I cannot wait to see what she does next. I then went back to the Bay Area for a week, which is where I'm from, and I didn't see an insane amount of theater there. The one thing I did see was the world premiere of The Lunchbox at the Berkeley Repertory Theater. This is the musical adaptation of the 2013 film of the same name, with music and co-lyrics by The Lazars, book and co-lyrics by Ritesh Batra, who wrote and directed the original movie. movie, and directed by Rachel Chavkin of Hadestown and Great Comet. The lunchbox follows a male widower and a lonely wife drawn into each other's orbit when the lunchbox she sent to her husband is accidentally sent to him. The two lead roles in this production are played by Manu Narayan and Kuhu Verma. This was actually the very first preview of this musical, so I'm definitely not going to thoroughly critique the lunchbox. Overall, I thought it was solid, and I would be glad to see a version of this in New York, maybe in a year or two when the show can be honed in more. The best parts of this musical by far is anything the Lazars write for Kuhu Verma to sing. She gets the best songs melodically and also has this incredibly expressive voice and such a powerful look in her eyes. And the score isn't written for her to belt all the time. Kuhu is truly our last saving hope for a classically sounding musical theater soprano. Please save us all. Back in New York, I went to Signature Theater to see Heather Christian's Animal Wisdom. Animal Wisdom is definitely a show that defies description. In the program note, Heather says it isn't a musical and it isn't really a play with music. It's best described as a 2-hour-long ritual slash seance slash requiem mass with songs, maybe? It's Heather's own story, but the lead character, called H, is played by Kanita Miller here. H, as she describes herself, is a migraine-suffering musician who talks to dead people. Basically someone who's haunted by ghosts constantly and uses song to deal with this. Animal Wisdom is a lot. I'm gonna be honest, I did not fully understand this show when I saw it. I've been listening to the cast album a lot since then, and I've grown to enjoy it a lot more, to the point where I'm honestly considering going back to see it again. The two things that really stood out to me were Kanita Miller's performance and the design. Kanita was outstanding, truly one of the best musical performances I've seen all year. Heather's score is not an easy thing, but Kanita navigates it with ease and comfort and warmth. She's such an easily empathetic and loving presence on stage. Emmy Finkel's scenic design was full of little trinkets and details that added such personality, complete with patches of garden and swaths of vines. And Masha Simring's lighting cycled between so many different moods and landscapes. Again, I don't think I understood it all. The last 30 minutes of Animal Wisdom are done in pitch black basically, and that's where Heather's music gets really abstract and complex and religious. That part just completely went over my head. I had no idea what was going on. But I do think I'll try and make time to go back, or at least just listen to the cast album more to try and unlock more of the mysteries of this show. The next day I went to the Barrymore Theater to see August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone. This is one of Wilson's Pittsburgh cycle plays, set in the 1910s at a boarding house run by Taraji B. Henson and Cedric the Entertainer's characters. A strange man shows up at this house, Harold Loomis, played by Joshua Boone, and the play kind of follows his and other characters' life post-slavery but still under oppression. August Wilson is one of the legendary figures in American drama that I unfortunately don't have much experience with, so I was coming into Joe Turner's blind. And while I did recognize the genius of Wilson's writing in this production, it also left me wanting more. I would say that Debbie Allen's staging ranges from fine to pretty bad. At the end of Act 1, Harold Loomis has a hallucination and starts telling this metaphorical religious story in a sort of psychosis. The way Debbie stages this is by having him center stage with a light, but the rest of the ensemble is half lit and moving in slow motion, waving their arms around and spinning. It just adds up to look kind of goofy. In general, I just think the spiritualism and mystery of Harold Loomis wasn't really staged effectively. There are two shining stars, if you will, in this production. The first is Ruben Santiago Hudson, who plays Bynum Walker. Ruben is obviously familiar with Wilson's writing and has a couple of long monologues that are just so beautiful and haunting. I saw someone say online that he is the actor in this production that succeeds most in delivering Wilson's words as poetry, and I definitely agree. The second is Abigail Onwunali, who shows up in the last 10 minutes as Harold's wife, Martha. Abigail just explodes onto the stage with an outburst of emotion, anger, sadness, everything that just bowls you over. I do wish that I liked Joe Turner's more, but they are making a movie of it, so we'll see if my feelings change. Also, I'm pretty sure I was sitting next to someone really famous, but I had no idea who they were. So if anyone knows who was in the Second Royal Orchestra on May 21st, let me know. The next day, I went to the Metropolitan Opera to see El Último Sueño de Frida y Diego, the debut opera of the composer Gabriela Lina Frank, who recently won the Pulitzer Prize for Music. The libretto is by the playwright Nilo Cruz, and follows the Mexican artists Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, imagined as a kind of reversal on the Orpheus and Eurydice myth, where Frida goes up from the land of the dead to visit Diego. I was pleasantly surprised by this opera. I think the story is really tight and perfectly simple, yet poetic for an opera, and Gabriela's music is super vivid and beautiful. The highlight was the character Katrina, sang by Gabriela Reyes, who is imagined as the skeletal keeper of the dead. Gabriela's voice was both powerful and agile, and her character is written with such color. The only thing I would say is that Deborah Kolker's staging relies too heavily on dance, and the chorus was pretty awkwardly deployed, often just on the sides of the stage, but otherwise had had a great time, and I'm excited to see more operas from Gabriella. The next day, I went to the Public Theater to see Girl Interrupted, a new play by Martina Majok with music by Amy Mann. This is based on Susanna Kayson's 1993 memoir of the same name, about her time at McLean Hospital in Massachusetts, a psychiatric hospital. The book also had a movie version in 1999 with Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie. This play with music, as they're calling it, directed by Joe Bonney, stars Juliana Canfield of Stereophonic in the leading role. I really liked Girl Interrupted. It was quite moving in a low-key way. It's billed as a play with music, but I would categorize it more of a musical, just not a conventional one. It's kind of convoluted, but Amy's music was first released as a concept album in 2021, and some of those songs are now used in production, but Amy is not actively involved. The songs are integrated into the story not in the traditional musical theater way, but in a way that does stop the plot and slips it into a more metaphorical take on the characters. Sometimes this was jarring. They definitely could have cut a few songs, but mostly I thought it was super unique and kind of Brechtian, or at least it reminded me of the Three Penny Opera. I really like Amy's songs, and they're presented here in fantastic arrangements by Todd Almond. Martina's writing is really poetic and gets to the heart of these women, and the choice to present it as a memory play really worked, though it maybe could have used a bit less narration. And the performances! Juliana was absolutely magnetic as Susanna. She maneuvers between narration and scene work super well and such a focused actor. The entire ensemble was perfect, but I think especially Sally Shaw as Polly and King Princess as Lisa. Truly one of the best ensembles I've seen all season, up there with Cats in terms of musicals. Honestly, this and Animal Wisdom, two off-Broadway shows, are genuinely better than every new musical on Broadway that I've seen. And that includes the next musical I saw, Two Strangers, Carry a Cake Across New York. This is a British musical by Jim Barn and Kit Buchan, directed by Tim Jackson at the Longacre Theatre, about the British Dougal, played by Sam Tuddy, who flies to New York for his father's wedding. He is greeted at the airport by Robin, played by Christiane Pitts, who is the sister of the bride, and they go on various journeys across New York together. Two Strangers has been open since November, so although I hadn't seen it before or listened to the cast album in full, I was somewhat familiar with the show. And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of knew I was not gonna like it. There is just no way I'm gonna enjoy a musical whose opening song lyrics read, "I'm already talking the talk in New York." And yeah, I kinda hated Act 1. I'm sorry. But the songs sound so generic, with absolutely terrible lyrics written by people who seem to have genuinely never been in New York City ever. And every book scene in the first act is just Dougal being annoying and Robin shutting him down over and over again. The first time this happened, it was endearing, but it just gets old quickly. I found myself wishing they would stop talking to sing a song, but then once they started singing, I would want them to stop singing because the song sucks so much. And why is there a song about Tinder that they sing on the subway? Act 2 is much better than the first, which isn't saying much. But the plot does slow down a bit, and we get to live with the interiority of these two for some time, and it becomes somewhat enjoyable, but it all just adds up to an unsatisfying musical, in my opinion. Both the actors are good, but I guess I'm more looking forward to their future work. I don't really know, guys. The band doesn't sound that great, the lighting is fine, but the set is honestly kind of ugly. I thought there would be more surprises in the suitcases, but it only really transformed for the Chinese restaurant at the end. Also, everyone has mentioned this already, but they literally only carry a cake for 30 minutes. The title is borderline false advertising at this point. That Saturday was the last of the best musical nominees I had to see, Titanique. This jukebox musical, transferring from off-Broadway to the St. James Theatre, is a parody of the 1997 movie Titanic, with Celine Dion songs added. The story, by Ty Blue, Marla Mindell, and Constantine Russoli, basically reimagines Titanic, but if Celine Dion were drunk and telling the story herself. Marla Mindell plays Celine, and the supporting cast includes Melissa Barrera as Rose, aka Kate Winslet, Jim Parsons as Rose's mother Ruth, and Tony nominee Leighton Williams as Iceberg, bitch. Guys, I'm just gonna say it. Titanique should win Best Musical. I don't care that it's a jukebox, I don't care that it's an unserious campy comedy, I don't care that it's probably too small of a show for the St. James. Seeing Titanique was the best time I had at a new musical on Broadway this season. This musical has two major things going for it. One, it's really funny. Two, it's under 2 hours. Those two factors alone make it better than the other three nominees, and I'm not even joking. I think the book is really well written, speedy but full of jokes, and some great reinventions of the original material. The songs are also exciting and staged well to make up up for their jukeboxness. Performance highlights include a witheringly acerbic Jim Parsons. This is the third thing I've seen him in on stage, and definitely my favorite performance of his so far. Leighton Williams' Tina Turner Iceberg, and Constantine Russoli doing the most in truly skin-tight khakis. Two more things about Titanique. There's an improv section in each show, and today Marla referenced the Andrew Lloyd Webber DJ set outside of Cats the Jellicle Ball the day before, and then brought up Jason Derulo and Judi Dench in the Cats movie, and I actually died at that. Second, I rushed and got front row seats on the left aisle, which meant I high-fived Marla Mandel at the beginning, and my friend with me got called out by name multiple times. So if you were at Titanique at 3 p.m. on May 30th, then you now know my friend's name and face. And that's kind of weird. To close out May, I saw Jordan Baum's play 21st Century Princess off-Broadway at the Collapsible Hole. Honestly, I knew pretty much nothing about this play. I went because one of my professors actually recommended it to me. I thought this was fun, with some genuinely really hilarious moments. The play tracks various scenes around Disneyland, following workers, visitors, stray cats. I was glad to have caught this, and it's always great to see something super small scale, especially after spending the better part of this month catching up on Broadway shows. And that was May. Thank you so much for watching. If you saw any of these shows yourself, leave a comment letting me know what you thought. Leave a like if you want, and subscribe to be notified for my next video. It will be the Big Tony Awards video, which low-key might come out late this year unfortunately, but I will try my best. For now, it's time for me to obsessively refresh my Instagram until the Cats the Jellicle Ball cast album is announced. Bye!